welcome to another episode of the Crispy Compact Communiqué, our first live show of 2021. After all of the hoopla with technological issues, my laptop, COVID 19, everything, somehow we've made it through and we're here to give you a live episode on Facebook. I am Rich Liebig.
And I'm Michael Costanzo.
And we are here to give you some interesting tidbits in the world of sports, entertainment, and odd news. And we got plenty of news to talk about, a lot to get to in those fields. But before we get into all of those news topics at hand, Mike, how you doing over there, buddy?
I'm doing good. I have a little bit of news that you'll be happy to hear. So the past couple of days, I've started watching Succession finally.
Yes, all right. We'll have to add that to the TV talk in a future episode then.
Yeah, in a future episode. So I'm exactly 2 episodes in. It's really good so far. I'm enjoying it. There's one thing I can't get past though. They do these weird camera jump zoom ins that's very reminiscent of a comedy. I'm like, what? Whose decision was that? It was very weird. But I like the dysfunctional family. It's like Arrested Development without the humor, with a much more dysfunctional, backstabby type group. I'm really enjoying it so far. I can see why it got a little bit of acclaim, for a drama series, and I'm really eager to see where it goes. But yeah, for anybody that hasn't seen it yet, jump on, give it a shot. The first 2 episodes, it's got its hooks in me.
Awesome. All right, I'm glad to hear that one from you, Mike.
Yeah. So what have you been up to?
I guess my TV thing that I'm starting to catch up on is The Witcher. I've watched a couple episodes.
Okay.
I got curious because, I'm a video gamer, so I wanted to, I keep hearing all this hype for Witcher, especially Witcher 3. It's always on sale, game of the year, everything like that. So I figured I would dip my toes in a little bit. And Rachel said she loved it, so I figured it was, worth a good old-fashioned college try, and it's pretty good. The fantasy element, sometimes is a little hard for me to get through.
You gotta choke down that fantasy stuff. I know it's interesting because it doesn't strike me as something that you would be interested in, but it's noteworthy because you're doing it because of the video game almost.
I'm curious. It's just one of those, I want to see if maybe, further down the line, maybe I'll get into the full-blown universe.
And this begins your fascination with fantasy. And the next thing you know, you're watching Lord of the Rings weekends and Game of Thrones. It's only a matter of time. Yep,
this is why I hate it when you keep bringing up Lord of the Rings. Because I did give Lord of the Rings a shot. I watched those movies. And I just it didn't connect. I don't know why everyone thinks they're the best movies ever. I don't know.
That's another discussion for another time.
Right. we got a lot to get to.
Yeah, we don't have time to delve into that conversation right now.
Yeah, that could be
because we've done that so many times already.
Yeah, that could be a whole episode on its own. So I don't know. Maybe if Facebook land out there wants us to do a dedicated episode on that, maybe we will. But for right now, we got to get to some topics at hand. But before we do that, I thought this might be an interesting little way to do the next couple of weeks, because we are actually coming up on the 1-year anniversary of COVID-19.
Yeah, we are.
But what's interesting is, out of all this, craziness and hoopla, this was the genesis for the Crispy Compact Communiqué.
Yeah.
So I thought the next couple of weeks we would kind of do a step-by-step remembrance of how things happened. So this time last year, I went back. First of all, I went back in the Crispy Noodle archives, which is hilarious if you want to go back and relive some of our shenanigans. So this time last year, here's what happened. The NBA had suspended the 2020 season after Rudy Gobert was the first NBA player that tested positive for coronavirus. That happened literally for 5 minutes before tip-off a game that was going to happen that night. And we had to adjust the rundown because we were recording that night, and it all happened that night. I don't know if you remember. It was crazy. It was surreal. It was literally something from
there was a
movie.
lot of late breaking news at the time, I seem to recall, because that's when everything was in upheaval. shows were, recordings were getting pushed back. I'm not talking about our recordings, but like tapings of television and movie dates were getting pushed back, and sports were getting canceled and shuffled around, and it was like calamity. Yeah.
Yeah. So we had that news break, and then also that same week was also when the NCAA decided to cancel for the first time ever in its entirety the March Madness tournament. And we covered that on that podcast as well. So those were like the first two big dominoes to hit COVID. But we were still doing our traditional audio only podcast at the time. So things hadn't gotten to peak levels yet, but they were starting to crack.
It was this the last podcast we did, or this was the second to last?
This was the second to last, the penultimate one, if you will.
Oh man, it's like you hear a phrase like that, and you're sort of like, I don't know, puts you on the edge of your seat, like something like big is about to happen. We didn't know at the time. Looking back on it, I remember we were like, oh, it'll blow over, and we were, we were optimistic.
I was naively optimistic. I was like, oh, this is gonna go away in a couple weeks. Wow, was I wrong?
And oh man,
don't ever trust me. Apparently, with anything medical, it's just if I bet A, you bet B. Just I will lead you astray when it comes to anything like that.
Yeah, but you know what? I feel like everybody at the time was thinking the same thing. I remember thinking, oh, by the summer it'll probably be a little bit better. Everybody kept on pushing back their timeline. At the time, it was like, oh, in a few weeks. And then it was, oh, by June. It was, oh, by some indiscriminate time during the summer. It was like, probably by the fall it'll be better. And here we are 1 year later, and now we're like, wow, is it going to be over by the summer? We don't know. It's the same story again in 2021.
Yeah.
It's interesting looking back. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I figured it'd be fun the next couple of weeks to remember what it was like 1 year ago. So this time 1 year ago was the first crack kind of in the news bulletin that this was starting to get a little more serious than we had anticipated. So we'll do that for the next week or two. A good look back, if you will. Before we get into the major sports topics, I want to give a shout out right now to the Drexel Dragons for winning their conference championship and advancing to the March Madness tournament for the first time in 25 years.
Wow.
So basically, for those that don't know how the March Madness tournament works, it's a national tournament. They choose 68 teams. You either get in by being picked specifically by the committee, or you win your conference's tournament. And that's what Drexel did. They won their conference tournament. So no matter what whatever their judges say, you could think the Drexel Dragons suck. You could think they're not worthy. Well, guess what? They won their conference tournament. They are in. There's nothing you can do about it. So
nice.
Congratulations to Drexel. And as a fan of college basketball, you got to support a Big Five Philly team. I want to see Philly teams, progress. I know it's going to be tough to contend with other heavyweights and those traditionally successful basketball programs. But hey, LaSalle made it to the Sweet 16,
That's true. They did that
8 years ago. So anything's possible, especially in a single elimination tournament. That's why it's March Madness. So go Drexel. I'm rooting for you guys. And then the capper to that, Selection Sunday is this weekend. So that means next week, get your brackets ready. We're going to be filling out brackets. So I can't wait to do that, especially considering we didn't do that last year for 2020. So I am thrilled that March Madness is back on, and we've got a good slate of teams, and brackets are back. Oh, it's a good time of the year, Mike. Come on, Mike. Get excited.
I try. I really do. I like filling out the brackets occasionally. I just pick them randomly based on whether I like a team name. I did very well doing that. That's the best way to win. I did that in high school one time, and I, did pretty well. But when I saw you add the basketball news to the rundown, I was like, oh man, that's right. It's that March Madness thing again.
You're not going to like this. I'm keeping up the basketball theme because from March Madness, I want to talk about this a little bit. in the NBA. Huge news, and it's not the All-Star break. The NBA All-Star break was this week, but it was the perfect time for teams to get things in order, especially if they're thinking of a playoff push. And that's what happened with Blake Griffin and his new team, the Brooklyn Nets. So brief recap on who Blake Griffin is. He's a star player, rookie of the year, definitely a force to be reckoned with. But ever since he got traded from the Clippers to the Pistons in 2018, things have been rough for him with the Pistons. He had some poor performances. He had injuries, including a nagging left knee injury that took him out most of 2019. So his stock significantly took a hit, and him and Detroit were basically on the outs. Detroit, they viewed this as a failed asset that they thought that they were gonna reap the benefits of. So they go back and forth, banter, all this stuff. Eventually, Detroit can't even find a trade partner for him, and they outright decide to buy his contract so he can be on his own. A reported amount of $29.8 million that they were willing to pay him to just go away. We've had enough of you.
Jeez, man.
Yeah, Mike, don't you wish that your job just be like, hey, here's $29 million, go away.
Here's $29 million, you can leave now.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, where do you want me to go? I'll go anywhere.
Right. The different lives that pro athletes have, right?
Yeah, right.
But now, on the flip side, you have a rising contender in the Brooklyn Nets. They have a core nucleus of Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, the recently acquired James Harden from their massive trade, exemplary shooter DeAndre Jordan, who was a teammate of Blake Griffin on the Clippers. Probably heard this news, gave his buddy Griffin a call. And before you know it, the Nets signed Blake Griffin on a veteran minimum.
Wow.
And just come to the team and chase a championship.
Look, I don't know a lot about basketball, but looking at these names, it's pretty noteworthy. When I look at an NBA roster and I recognize every single name on that starting lineup, forget big three, this is big five.
Yeah.
Right here. This is, I mean, if they don't win the championship, I'd be absolutely floored. I mean, this is the very definition of buying a championship.
Yeah,
they literally have like five of the best players in the entire league.
Yeah, this is definitely the definition of chasing a ring and everything, and the super team concept. Literally just it's like Thanos getting all the Infinity Stones.
Right. This is the last Infinity Stone. I mean, all these. I'm pretty sure all these guys are all stars, right? They're all just about. So it's wild.
Yeah, and Vegas has taken notice. The Nets have catapulted all the way up to the Lakers status. So both the Lakers and the Nets are favored to win the NBA championship at 3-1 odds. Other contenders are the Clippers at 11-2, the Bucks at 15-2, Jazz at 17-2. The Sixers are just hanging on. They're there, but they're hanging on at 12-1. But then there's a cliff because after that, every other team is 30-1. So
it's kind of how basketball works, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's like 4 or 5 fantastic teams, and the rest are just like
at this point.
Average.
At this point in the season, you kind of know who's the elite teams that are in the title hunt. And there you go. Those are your 6 teams. If you're not one of those 6 teams, sorry, you're really hoping for a snowball's chance in hell that you're gonna win the championship. But that shows you the Nets, man. They are gunning. They're aiming to take LeBron and Anthony Davis out. They want to get to the finals and they want to win. So
yeah, well, with this roster, anything is possible. I mean, that's just a fantastic lineup.
Yeah. So as much as I hate the concept of super teams, this is the reality in the NBA.
This is like a super team to another level, though.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was one thing to have a big 3, but this is like bordering on like. It's like yeah, it is. It is.
It's another stone that just went right in the big 5. Yeah. Just whoop, okay. I am inevitable.
It's incredible. I am inevitable. Yeah, the Nets are like, I am inevitable.
That's Kevin Durant. Every team Kevin Durant is on, they just end up being a super team, and they just end up powering their way through just sheer talent. So
Yeah.
there you go. Uh, NBA, crazy league. All right, I know Mike is bursting at the seams. We got to get to some football. He's gonna he's gonna explode in the flames if we don't get to football at some point. This
Well,
obviously set the world on fire with this massive deal for Dak Prescott.
yeah, man, this is just
Oof.
wild. We saw this break the other day. We just talked about him last week, and now all of a sudden, here we go. Big news coming out of Dallas. Dak Prescott finally signed with the Dallas Cowboys, 4 years, $160 million, a record-setting $126 million guaranteed, $75 million due in 1 year, which is the most in NFL history. But on top of that, the contract also has no trade and no tag clauses. I assume he really wanted to get that in after being tagged.
Yeah, no more tags.
But I mean, the details of this deal: $40 million average per year, second only to Kansas City Chiefs Patrick Mahomes. This is what he wanted, and props to him. He held out until he got it, and Dallas caved. But it's so odd from Dallas's perspective that you have Watson and Wilson, who actively want out of their teams, and they couldn't get a deal done. I don't know how they view Dak in comparison to those guys. What do you think, Rich? Is this overpaying for Dak? Is this a fair contract? What do you make of this? How do you feel about this?
Yeah, I hate to say it. This is just one of those situations I think you just have to accept that the quarterback market is so skewed. Is Dak a good quarterback? Yes. Is he a great quarterback? I don't know.
Is he second to Patrick Mahomes in terms of annual salary? Like, that's the question.
Yeah. I don't think so. But at the same time, at some point, Jerry Jones needed to answer the question, is Dak going to be the quarterback? It was just lingering on and on and on and all over the sports talk shows. Well, now we can finally put it to bed. Dak is the quarterback for the next 4 years. And then we'll see how he comes out on the other end. And maybe he gets another contract. But at least for the next 4 years, he's tied to the Cowboys, and there's no more rumors or stories or anything like that. And I think at the end of the day, that peace of mind is worth paying more to get Dak on your side and getting ready for another, couple of seasons, especially with how weak the NFC East is. This really should be now. Now that everything is done with Dallas, I hate to say it because I don't like Dallas and I don't like the Cowboys, but now that is all settled, the next 2 or 3 years should be all Dak and all Dallas. It really should. They've got the most talent on their roster. They've settled the quarterback kerfluffle now. It's their division to win now. There shouldn't be any.
There's no competition for them. I'm just glad that we don't have to face Wilson or Watson twice a year. So I'm glad from that perspective that Dallas didn't get a deal done. But yeah, I mean, man, I don't know. That contract is just massive.
Yeah.
And you know me, I've been saying the past couple of years, the quarterback market is just, and you just said it there. It's just so out of whack. I mean, $40 million a year, it's just absurd, especially this year. The cap went down. So I don't know how they're spreading out these cap hits, but
yeah,
I'm lucky we don't have a contract like that on the books. We'll get Wentz's contract off the books. Well,
yeah, we still have to deal with it for one season.
It's only a $33 million cap hit, not a $40 million cap hit.
Oh boy, Mike. Yeah, those $7 million. Yeah, it makes a difference.
$7 million, man. Hey, you could sign an aging veteran who may or may not get injured. But yeah, I mean, Cowboys, they got their guy. They got him locked up for at least the next 4 years. So I guess good for them. But I just find it interesting that, again, it's just overpaying these quarterbacks. And then also, we were talking about a few weeks ago how more quarterbacks could move in this offseason than any other offseason. So far, it's only been the 2 big quarterback moves.
Yeah.
We had Stafford,
Goff, and Wentz.
Goff, and then Wentz.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see how things continue to play out.
Yeah, it may end up being a relatively boring offseason compared to what we thought ending the season last year.
Yeah.
Good transition too into what the Eagles have to do, because there is going to be some big offseason moves the Eagles are going to have to do. Like you said, first off, the cap went down.
Yes, it
Um,
did.
and that's already going to hurt considering the Eagles have $40 million in dead cap between
Yep. Yep.
Carson Wentz and Deshaun Jackson and a couple of other players.
Well, they're making moves. They're making moves to try and figure that out. They're restructuring a lot of contracts. They're re-signing guys. They're currently either have or are working on restructuring Jason Kelsey, Darius Slay, Lane Johnson, Derek Barnett, Brandon Graham. They're either re-signing or restructuring these guys to try and get those cap figures down. We talked about how they cut Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson. Malik Jackson is also believed to be a cut. Obviously, we got rid of Wentz through a trade. So he incurs a huge dead cap hit, but it actually ends up saving us about $800,000. After you factor everything in. So they're taking steps to try and correct that. It's going to be a huge mountain to climb to get under the cap for this season. So I expect more players' heads are going to have to roll. We're going to have to say goodbye to some fan favorites. One in particular, Zach Ertz here, is the subject of a lot of talk recently. Rumors out there indicate that the Eagles are actively shopping Zach Ertz. Multiple teams have called asking about him. I mean, he's probably a top 3 tight end, but here's the problem, Rich, and we've been talking about this via text all week, is as the Eagles are lingering and dilly-dallying around and trying to find a good fit because they want to take into account where Ertz wants to go, multiple other top 10 tight ends have hit the free agency market. So what does this do to Zach Ertz's trade value now? What do the Eagles do?
Yeah, unfortunately, they waited too long. It's that simple because now, after this week's batch of cuts, we got Kyle Rudolph on the market. We got Hunter Henry on the market. Jonnu Smith from the Titans got cut. So now Ertz isn't the only tight end game in town. And that's really going to hurt trade value.
Not to mention Kyle Pitts coming out in the NFL draft in a couple of weeks, expected to go pretty high in the draft, maybe even to the Eagles if we ever get rid of Ertz. But yeah, Zach Ertz's trade value just bottomed out. I mean, we were looking at maybe a low second, high third. We'd be lucky if we score something in the mid 5th round now. For Zach Ertz. They might just end up cutting him.
Yeah, and with the last couple of trades, we haven't really hit the potential of our trades. It's usually the downslope of the trades. So it could be a low draft pick or even an outright cut at this point.
I mean, several years ago, we always would be like, man, how did Howie Roseman pull that deal off? Now we're on the other side of the table. It's, my God, how did Howie Roseman end up making that deal?
Yeah.
So...
Well, you may be questioning why Howie is still in charge, and that's because the guy above him, Jeffrey Lurie, the owner, is still calling the shots, and maybe he's getting a little too involved after this news report went out saying that Lurie says the Eagles are to, quote, build around Jalen Hurts for 2021. Just flat out, is it a smart move to commit to him this much?
Look, it's the only move. You can't draft a quarterback 6th overall when you just drafted a quarterback 2nd overall after you just moved up in a draft in 2016 to take a quarterback 2nd overall. You can't do this. You can't draft that.
What did the Cardinals do?
I know the Cardinals did it.
The Cardinals did it. It's not unprecedented. You can't.
No. Yeah. No, it's not unprecedented, but you shouldn't.
Right.
The Cardinals are the exception.
Yeah.
Here's the way I see it.
By the way, I hate to say this, Josh Rosen looks horrible. Like,
okay,
I think now he is the 3rd string quarterback on the 49ers.
Yikes!
Yeah, what a fall. He really has fallen off the wagon. Just woof.
And I mean, yes. I mean, if you really need to, you can draft quarterbacks in the 1st round back to back to back if you want to. Normally, teams don't. Normally, they have to pick a guy and build around him because there's other positions. There's 52 other spots on the roster. There's another 10 positions on the starting offense that you have to worry about. So the way I see it, this is the only move the Eagles can make because by the time you get to the 6th spot in the 1st round, the best quarterbacks are going to be off the board. So then you're stuck here. Do you take the 3rd or 4th best quarterback? Or do you build around this 2nd rounder that you got from last year? It's I feel like there'd be more value to go and pick another position than quarterback in this upcoming draft. So is it a smart move? Maybe. It's the only move the way that I see it. What I don't like is the fact that Jeffrey Lurie is making this move and making this decision, and not the talent evaluators, not the scouts, not the coaches. So that's the problem that I have with this whole scenario.
Yeah,
Especially
sounds a little too much like another person we know in Dallas.
another person in the NFC East, yeah, who just got their quarterback signed. Yeah, it sounded a little Jerry Jones-ish. Jeffrey Lurie's been very hands-off as an owner, but I think whatever happened after winning that Super Bowl, he decided that he wanted to be a bit more hands-on, because what I'm hearing now is that Jeffrey Lurie also pushed for Ertz to be drafted. So I don't know how true that is, but even hearing the rumor, even hearing the allegations makes me go, ooh, I don't know. And now it paints Howie Roseman in a different light. Is Jeffrey Lurie keeping him on because he knows that he's somebody that he can, not manipulate, but say like, hey, I strongly want this person. And then all of a sudden we draft that person. It really puts all the questionable draft choices into a new light, right? JJ Arcega-Whiteside instead of DK Metcalf. There's always been rumors that there was division amongst the higher ups about who to take in that draft. And you really wonder who was pushing for JJ and who was pushing for someone else.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, if the owner is pushing for one guy over the other, you're probably going to go with that guy. He's the owner. He signs your checks.
It makes you think, wow, why did they really draft Ertz?
Yeah.
Because now it's even the appearance. This is you learn this when you work in business. Even the appearance of some impropriety is not good, and that's what we have here. We have the appearance of impropriety, right? We have the appearance that something else is going on, and I don't like it. Whether or not it actually happens, I don't like the idea that the owner might possibly be involved in this stuff. The owner is just the person who's footing the bill. Okay. They have a say in ticket prices and popcorn prices and nonsense like that. They don't get to decide the players that actually play on the team. You have to trust your scouts. You have to trust your coaches.
Yeah, but money talks. He is the owner.
I know.
It's a lot different when you're trying to criticize the guy that's signing your paycheck. That is a very tough tough position to be in. So
yeah.
But unfortunately, I do agree with you. That does sound too much like Jerry Jones, and I really hope that's not the case, because if it is, that does not. It's not a sign of good things to come.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so there you go. We went from all the basketball news and football news, loaded realm of sports, but the thing that we have been hyping on our Facebook and Twitter pages is we want to talk about some TV talk. We haven't really done a deep dive into TV shows on the Crispy Compact Communiqué in a while, so I think we both thought it was a good time to just take a block of time to go over some shows that we've caught up on. The first one I do want to get out of the way real quick. I don't know if you followed this, but the Framing Britney Spears.
I did not get a chance to see this.
That's fine. I'll just do a quick hit on this.
Yeah.
Me and Rachel watched this over the weekend. This went viral. Did you know that there is actually like a little mini army of people who are looking out for Britney Spears, the hashtag Free Britney movement, that they are dedicated to trying to free Britney from this conservatorship that she is locked into from her dad and her business partner.
So I did hear a little bit about this.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the documentary, but my girlfriend has talked about it, and just it seems like Britney Spears got treated real bad.
Yeah.
From my casual, hearing through the grapevine about what happened.
Yeah. So here's my kind of quick response and review on the documentary. Documentary is pretty good. Definitely worth a look if you're interested. I thought what was interesting was first off, it's kind of broken off in like two parts. They kind of do like a recap of her career, and then they go more into the details of a conservatorship, and what that entails.
Okay.
So part of it was interesting that they went back in time to like, back like the old like the TRL and Carson Daly era that dominated MTV at the time, and it was a little bit of a nostalgia trip, I gotta say, to see some of those old Times Square footage. Carson Daly would be hosting TRL with the clear windows out on Times Square, and that reminded me of just every time I come home and turn that on and want to see what the latest music was and everything like that. So that was cool. Then they go into a part about Britney, and then they go into a part about the conservatorship. I do agree with the whole conservatorship that Britney Spears has to deal with is absolutely wrong. The final blow to the argument that she needs to be in one is that one of the judges says that she is a high functioning conservatee, and to me that doesn't make any sense. If you're the whole purpose of a conservatee is that you need someone to look out for you. So if you're a high functioning, the judge says she's a high functioning conservatee. So if you're high functioning,
then do you really need it?
Yeah, isn't that an oxymoron? So I totally am on that side. She doesn't deserve to be in that. My critique with the thing is they kind of prop her up to be like not only like a victim, but like she's like super victim. I think they kind of use too much cheese on the whole Britney Spears career story, because she did do some things on her own that warrant media attention. Like, I'm sorry, if you're a pop star and you shave your head, people are going to want to know, why did you shave your head? Like,
people are going to notice.
Yeah, like, that's not something you can just be like, oh, that's her. I don't know.
You can't just casually shave your head when you're a female pop star and not have the media focus on it. Now, I mean, so from what I understand, she did have a lot of mental health issues at the time. I don't know the full extent of them, or, again, this is just
and we don't know. We will never until the
Yeah.
conservatorship is done. We won't know.
Right. So yeah, this is all secondhand information for me because I didn't even watch the documentary. But it seems like I feel bad for Britney Spears in the fact that she didn't get the help that she needed. Instead she got put into this thing, and it's kind of like, from what I understand, like holding her hostage a little bit. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I didn't see the documentary, so I don't know how much cheese you're talking about. I mean, it is called Framing Britney Spears.
Yeah.
So, I mean, going into it, you have to know that it's going to be, very pro Britney Spears. It's going to be coming at it from that perspective. Just looking at it from, analyzing the documentary angle, not talking about, Britney Spears' personal struggles. But in terms of the actual documentary, it seems like that should have been expected, right?
Yeah. So I thought that was a good way to kick off this topic, especially since this went viral, and I didn't even know that there was a Free Britney army.
It makes me want to watch it to find out more about this.
Yeah, absolutely do it. It's crazy. I can't believe there's actually like an army of people that they actually like get together at whenever there's like a court hearing for it in LA. And
wow.
they are there. They're like they're a little weird Britney militia.
That's the thing that's always weirded me out about celebrities in general. People just like take it on as their crusade to defend these celebrities. Like, I don't know. It's just bizarre. I don't have a crusade of people defending me. When I was young and people said stuff about me, I didn't have a whole army defending me.
How about this? Let's reframe this.
Is there a celebrity that I would crusade for?
Yeah.
Hell no.
No, not at all.
They don't need me to crusade for them.
Okay.
That's the thing. How many people in this world don't have people to stand up for them? And I'm not saying that means we shouldn't stand up for anybody, but it's, I don't know, something about it has always weirded me out, because there's so many people that have to do it on their own. I think we should all help each other, but you shouldn't you shouldn't form like a little rogue band of preteen girls to go support, celebrities, because I don't know. It just always seemed weird to me because they're just supporting them because they're famous, not because they need help, but because they like their music or whatever. They feel this weird like allegiance to them, like we feel weird allegiances to sports teams.
Yeah, I think that's what is kind of maybe the next step is like sports maybe.
Yeah, because I mean, when you flip the script, people could look at us and be like, "Oh, well, you guys get irrationally mad about sports teams. You feel like you owe them something that we have an allegiance to them."
Yeah,
and like, yeah, it is kind of weird.
yeah. Fair enough. Although I would crusade for Gary Busey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you would crusade for Gary Busey. Okay.
He is a philosopher. He is a man of all trades. He should be respected.
He really is. He is a national treasure that needs to be respected and protected at all costs.
Yes.
You're absolutely right.
Correct.
Of course.
Yes. Okay, let's leave the world of documentaries and let's get to Marvel's smash hit WandaVision. I know this is on everybody's tip of the tongue. So they just finished everything for season 1. Basically, there's not for all intents and purposes, at least that we know, there's not going to be a season 2. Or if there is a quote unquote season 2, it's basically Doctor Strange 2, as Disney has pointed out that's pretty much going to be the continuation of Wanda's story. It will lead right into Doctor Strange 2. Also, by the way, that makes it essential. They also, Marvel also commented that this is officially the first entry in Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, unfortunately, I had this feeling at first, too. If you think, like, the TV shows, are kind of like their own separate thing, I don't want to get into it. Well, unfortunately, they're going to try and tie this into Phase 4. So this is actually kind of now borderline must watch if you're interested in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
And you know what? I actually really enjoyed that because as somebody who watched Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. back in the day, I watched like the first 3 or 4 seasons of that. It was very strange early on in the MCU. There was a very clear divide between the TV and the movie universes. Even though they both happen in the same space, I would turn on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and they'd be like, wow, wasn't it crazy what Ultron did? Yeah, it was. Anyway, other problem. And it was always like what? Like, and this would happen.
Hey, remember when that island floated out of the ground? Huh, that's some weird stuff, huh?
Yeah, they're like, let's go stop this bank robbery. Like, there's an island floating right there.
We may have bigger problems.
It was truly and utterly bizarre to see the divide, especially when you hadn't seen movies. I had Ultron spoiled for me because I turned on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and they're like, oh yeah, remember this happened? I'm like, no, I did not remember that happened. So I really appreciate the fact that this TV show is tied more closely to the movie universe. I also really love that fact because the production value was sky high for this show. I mean, it was basically it was like a 4.5 hour Marvel movie. When you break it down, they were half-hour episodes, and it had the same production value, the same cast, the same cameos that you would expect, the same inter-universe references. So I really appreciated the attention to detail and the fact that it felt like I was still continuing the same story rather than having some weird tangential side story that was never going to link up with anything. Does it suck that it's essential viewing? Yeah, but we're also 27 movies into an expanded universe.
Yeah,
so
that would
it kind of goes with the territory.
Yeah, that would be my logic, is if you're complaining about one season of a TV show.
If I hear a Marvel fan say, oh, now I got to watch these shows, boo-hoo, you just watched 27 movies. Shut up. I mean, to put it bluntly, I mean, really.
Yeah. As for the actual quality of the show, people have been ranking this as one of the best shows on TV, consistently giving it 9, 9.5, even a couple 10s. What do you think, Mike? Is that on par? Would you give that that high of a rating?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, every week I was continuously impressed. I mean, not just with, I mean, obviously the set and costume design and the effects were top notch, but the acting was fantastic and the storyline kept me engaged, you know? And at the end of the day, what I really like about television the past couple of years is that it gives us more time to delve into the characters. You know, sometimes the movies, especially the bigger ones, the Avengers ones, there's so many characters and so much going on, so much plot that we forget about the character. You know, in WandaVision, what it did was it brought back the character. We really got to see Wanda's struggles with everything that happened during the Infinity War and Endgame sequence. You know, I'm going to try to avoid spoilers here as much as possible, but you get to see, I mean, it's really not a story about any big plot. It's a story about a woman dealing with grief, which is, I think, is very unique in the Marvel universe, that became more and more plot driven throughout the movies.
Okay, that's fair.
You disagree? It seems like.
So to me, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about the ending. The ending of it, I thought, was kind of almost too neat. You know, it kind of wrapped everything up into a nice, neat bow.
I mean, yeah,
And
I definitely see that.
and I you know, maybe it's just more of a preference, or maybe it was something I was expecting. But to me, I thought that was way too safe of a play. Though at the same time, if you take the stance that WandaVision is a jab at other TV shows, because remember, they go through each decade. They go through one episode dedicated to the 50s, one episode dedicated to the 60s, 70s, 80s, blah 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 blah. Maybe that's also part of the intention, is that it's also kind of a jab at that at that old television format, that everything gets wrapped up in a nice bow.
I mean, potentially. We also don't know what Disney's plans are for this. We don't know what repercussions this will have, other than they mentioned that this will tie into Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
They name dropped Doctor Strange. You know, they mentioned the Sorcerer Supreme.
Right.
Because now you have, you know, and I will permit one spoiler here, because I mean they finally called her Scarlet Witch, which is like, they've been dancing around it for years because they couldn't use
that
the
red
X-Men.
lady.
That they're like, oh, we have Iron Man and Captain America and Black Panther and Wanda. Like, why does she not have a superhero name? It's because they didn't have the rights to the X-Men names. So it was really exciting when they finally, after Disney bought Fox, they could say Scarlet Witch. So we don't know where this is going to lead. We don't know if maybe it seems nice and neat now, but is Wanda now more of a rogue agent? Is she going to do whatever she wants to do? Is this going to be problematic for the Avengers, for Doctor Strange? Is she going to delve into more of this dark magic, this chaos magic? And the Avengers are going to be like, hey, you can't do that. And she's going to be like, watch me. So, you know, you say neatly wrapped up. I think that particular arc was neatly wrapped up, but I think it's still left enough where Marvel can pull it in different directions if they want to. And we've seen them do that before.
Yeah.
So I do agree. They did tie up that plot line pretty neatly. It seemed like, you know, to do a second season would be kind of strange.
Doctor Strange.
Anything is possible in the multiverse. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, I to sum up, I thoroughly enjoyed the show.
I did as well.
I mean, from start to finish, every episode, it was a unique twist on the Marvel formula, and you know, I wasn't looking forward to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but now I'm like, wow, if they did this with WandaVision, what's that one going to be like? You know, I'm looking forward to Loki and all the other shows that they have planned, because now this was the first big Marvel content since, was it Spider-Man?
Yeah, that would probably be the last thing.
Yeah, I think Spider-Man was the last one. We were supposed to get Black Widow in May of 2020.
Yeah, but it kept getting delayed. So yeah, this is the first. Yeah, this is the first entry since Spider-Man. Yeah.
So are people just starved for Marvel content, or maybe. Was it really that good?
That it could be. It could be. But nevertheless, definitely recommend, if you have not caught up on WandaVision, do so. All right, now here's really what I want to talk about. All right, screw
You're like, all right, all that trash aside,
yeah,
let's get to the real.
get all that stuff out of here. All right, it's time to talk about Cobra Kai. We're talking about a real TV show here.
Oh my god.
No,
Okay, real in air quotes.
Yeah,
No, go ahead.
I loved every second of Cobra Kai. I am amazed at how well this show works in terms of bringing in the right amount of drama and comedy and levity and seriousness.
Yep, absolutely.
William Zabka as Johnny Lawrence, like he's so good. I wish he was like my like pseudo like older brother or something. I want him to be like my older brother or something. He's awesome in this role. And I just love the fact that they've turned the whole Karate Kid universe that used to be so, light versus dark, evil versus good.
It was hokey.
They've turned it, and now there's, every character has elements of good and bad in them. And I don't know. I find it so fascinating. I think it's a great universe they've created. I think the actors from the ones that are from the Karate Kid and then the new ones with the kids, they're all. I think they all do a great job. I think pound for pound, it's one of the best shows that you can spend time and watch on. I am satisfied with all 3 seasons of it. But Mike, I know you recently finished it. So what was your impressions?
Yeah, I recently finished it. I think that the biggest thing that you can say about the quality of the show is the fact that I was such a naysayer of it. You were recommending to me for 3 years straight, watch Cobra Kai, watch Cobra Kai, watch Cobra Kai. It was like a broken record over there. And finally I broke down and watched it. And, despite my best efforts to not like it, it found its way, it wormed its way inside of me. And, it's not going to win. I say this to everybody that I recommend it to. It's not going to win any awards. Don't expect this to be like nominated for best drama or anything. But what it will do is it will keep you thoroughly entertained the entire time. I mean, like you said, drama, comedy, heartfelt moments. It just has, it's just real. I think that it's, one, very predictable, but 2, still smartly written, because it still gets you so attached to the characters. People think that when things are smartly written, that has to be like really complex or like some weird abstract, like True Detective, Matthew McConaughey BS, no. What it needs to do is it needs to have the characters grab you, be relatable, and keep you entertained and glued to the TV screen. And that's what Cobra Kai does. Because, I'm watching there with my parents and my dad, who loves the Karate Kid franchise. He always talks about, Miyagi and Daniel-san and all this stuff. He goes, oh, I don't like Daniel. Oh, I don't like Dan. The number of times he says, I don't like Daniel. Another testament to how good the show is, because it does flip the script. It makes you view the bad guys as the good guys and the good guys as the bad guys. But then they also still have the other element within them as well, like you said. I love shows where there's no specific good guy or bad guy, where your good guys have flaws and your bad guys have redeeming qualities. That's what makes it smartly written. Predictable, yes. Hokey, yes. Corny, absolutely. But fun. And I think that's important. Not every show can be some groundbreaking drama like Succession or Breaking Bad. Sometimes you just need good old-fashioned fun. And that's what Cobra Kai gives you, straight out of the 80s. Good old-fashioned fun, right?
Yeah.
What I find really interesting, and I'll let you take the angle on this one, because you brought up a point to me off the podcast a week or 2 ago about specifically how it compares to another one of your favorite franchises. And I'll give you the soapbox there, Rich, to lead off with this, because I can't wait to see you do this on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm going to own this. I'm going to own this. I think Cobra Kai has done Star Wars better than Star Wars has done Star Wars with the sequel trilogy. Yes. It actually pisses me off that a show like Cobra Kai can nail this whole, good, bad family drama, redemption, like these themes. Cobra Kai nails them all, and the Disney Star Wars sequel trilogy couldn't nail it to save its own life.
They whiffed.
Yeah. And something that I know you were kind of hoping for in episode 9 of Star Wars, that maybe Disney would pivot and do the Gray Jedi, where you have Jedis that aren't that haven't aligned themselves with the dark side or the light side, but they're their own thing. That's basically what Johnny Lawrence is in Cobra Kai. He wants to be a badass, but he doesn't want to be evil. That's right there. Like it blows my mind that Cobra Kai pulled this off to a T, and yet J.J. Abrams and all those brainiacs over at Lucasfilm couldn't do this with the Star Wars sequel trilogy. Pisses me off. It's so much so my mom just gave me the stink eye. There you go. There you go. She just did it right off the side. But
that is a testament to, well, one, side tangent, something that we've talked about before, and we'll probably talk about again in the future. The sequel trilogy, when you gain more distance, it becomes less and less illustrious. But also a testament to how good Cobra Kai is, that it could get rich to say that it did Star Wars better than Star Wars. It sounds like an oxymoron, something that doesn't make any sense here, but I agree. And I think that's the itch that it was scratching for me. What you talked about with the Gray Jedi, and we both referenced the good guys have bad qualities and the bad guys have redeeming qualities. It does. There's just something compelling about watching a character that is morally ambiguous, that is morally gray. I just started watching Succession, and all the characters that you follow, they're the protagonists, but they're all jerks. You hate them all.
You're not supposed to like any of them. Yeah.
And my dad is sitting there and he's going, I don't like Succession. I'm like, you cheered for a murderous drug dealer in Breaking Bad. You can't sit here and tell me you don't like these characters. I didn't like them, and I don't like some of the characters in Cobra Kai, but you can't help but root for them because they're the protagonists, right? Quote unquote. And it makes you feel conflicted as a viewer. And I think it adds a little something to the viewing experience when you have characters that are like that, where you don't have a strict good or bad.
Yeah,
but
and also
something that's more real.
And also that makes the future of the series an open book. You can literally write any character to go in any direction just about, because they all have had past experiences either being morally ambiguous or morally evil or morally good. So
I love that because it reflects real life too. Like nobody's so good that they have no flaws, and nobody's so flawed that they don't have maybe a single redeeming quality, except for maybe Hitler, But then you get
pretty solid.
This is pretty solid. Like the point is though that more often than not, humans are deeply flawed. I'm getting like really weirdly esoteric now. Like deeply flawed individuals who are capable of good when the circumstances are right, or whether they're pushed to it, and that's what I find. So I was waiting for the moment. I'm trying not to drop too many spoilers, but I was waiting for the moment in Cobra Kai when you knew that a certain flip was going to happen, and the flip happened, and I was like, yes, it was so cathartic to finally see that happen. And that's why you watch the show. You watch the show for those great character moments where you finally see them reach that destination where you know that they're capable of going. They just need a little bit of a push. So I can't recommend all these shows that we talked about, with the exception of the Britney one, because I haven't watched it. But WandaVision and Cobra Kai, absolutely everybody has to go watch them right now.
Yeah, literally bump those up on your watch list. Definitely worthy of your time. Okay, so there you go. All the TV talk is officially done. It is time to get to some odd news. We do sports, entertainment, and odd news on this show. So last but not least, got some odd news for you here. And this might be one of the worst ways to handle a situation in which a cop thinks you have a gun.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
This is going to be bad.
This is a Florida story, so Mike, if you want to do your trademark.
Who is this effing guy in Florida? It's Florida, and we're crazy.
They are crazy. So So first off, this happened to a guy named 20-year-old Michael Phillips.
Okay, Michael Phillips. Good.
Yep.
Like basic name.
Yep. He was a passenger in a suspected stolen 2015 Chevrolet Equinox that got pulled over Saturday night.
Good.
Yeah, not good. Not good to be
Nope.
around a suspected stolen vehicle.
Yeah, the night's already off to a pretty bad start, so I'm assuming it only goes downhill from there.
Yep. When police asked him to step out of the car and patted him down, they felt something hard protruding from his underwear.
Uh-oh. Whoa. There's a sexual innuendo there.
Oh, yeah, because that's when the Florida man exclaimed, quote, "Oh, don't worry, I just have a hard-on."
Yeah, I'm sure he wishes it was that hard and that large, right? That's what he hopes.
Yeah, officer.
Oh, man,
I can't help it. The way you're touching me, it's
he's like, it's not always arousal. Sometimes it's fear. You're scaring me.
Oh, the fear is making him around. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
the good old fashioned fear boner.
Anticipation.
That was so weird. Anticipation.
Yeah, there you go. So
Oh
I
my
gotta jump
God.
back in the story after that. So unfortunately, this didn't fly over well with the cops.
No.
Cops then asked him to pull down his pants, and
They're
that's
like, we want to see the anticipation.
yeah, we're calling your bluff.
Yeah, we're calling your bluff.
But that's when he pulled down his pants and revealed that he was actually packing a loaded Glock 23.
I never understand why people keep loaded guns in their pants.
Yeah, that's
Like one wrong move and just I mean your Plaxico Burress. Remember he shot himself in the leg? People have shot themselves in their private bits. I mean, you don't want to. The point is, you don't want to shoot anything south of the border because it's either going to be like you're going to bust a kneecap, you're going to bust a ball, you're going to bust a main artery. You don't want to do any of that.
Yeah, that's not fun. Not
No.
good. We don't want any of that.
No, not good at all. You also don't want to get shot above the waistline either. How about just don't get shot?
How about
don't carry loaded guns?
Yeah, don't put a loaded gun near there. Why can't that not be a rule?
Yeah, because it's cool. I don't know why that was a cool thing. Just like put it in your waistband. Like what?
So then, as he was being arrested, Phillips then admitted that that was his gun, but then he said that his driver it was his girlfriend, and she gave it to him as a gift.
Okay, that's sure. It's still yours.
But Mike, it's loaded.
What?
Like,
Wait,
how could
what?
she have given him a gift right then and there, and the gun's already loaded?
Well, she loaded it and then wrapped it.
Oh, you think she would load the gun? Oh, we're gonna have a hell of a birthday! Woo! Boo, 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 boo.
That sounds incredibly dangerous because you like load the gun and you wrap it, and as they're unwrapping, it just like bang, just like explodes through the package.
Yeah, that sounds incredibly dangerous. Don't do that. If you're first off, if you're thinking of gifting a gun, I don't know. Maybe
I don't know.
Maybe
I mean,
if
teach
you're
their own.
Right. Maybe if your significant other is a big gun fanatic, okay, whatever. But don't load the gun in the box. Not good. Not good. No.
Dude, oh my God, this is just. How would you wrap a gun? I'm curious. Would you put it in a box? Because guns don't. Do guns come in boxes? How do you buy a gun?
Yeah, I think they come in a case.
A carrying case?
I would hope they come in something.
So you could wrap the carrying case. You wouldn't just wrap the gun. Or would you put it in like...
Yeah,
like,
just get the wrapping paper and just wrap it around the gun.
You're like, gee, I wonder what it is.
It looks...
Yeah. It's like some sort of cookware.
Is it a tape dispenser?
A tape dispenser. It's a price check gun.
Yeah, I've always wanted one of those.
Yeah.
I wanted to tag all my items.
Yeah, exactly. It's a label maker.
So, in addition to the loaded gun, he also had rounds on him as well. So, if she did buy this gift for him, she brought the whole package: the gun, loaded and backup ammunition. She got the collector's set for him.
Wow, the collector set. Yeah, that's a good gift right there. What's a gun without bullets, right? And what's bullets without a gun?
Yeah.
She thought of everything.
Yeah, she's a very
she's a keeper.
She's a very considerate girlfriend.
Yeah, she's a keeper, I tell you.
Except for the fact that the car that she was driving, the 2015 Chevrolet Equinox, was indeed stolen.
Minor details.
Yeah, so apparently she likes to get into trouble as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, she stole a vehicle and then gave her boyfriend a loaded gun. So.
Yeah. So she was charged with grand theft auto and some other misdemeanor counts. Phillips, though, he will get a felony because that's carrying a concealed firearm. Yeah, that's...
Don't do it. Why?
Yep, full-blown
What are you
felony.
expecting to happen?
Yep.
Don't carry a loaded gun in your pants.
Yep. Here's his mugshot. If you want to see him outside of Cobra Kai, maybe he'll go from guns to karate.
That's where he was going with the gun.
Yeah, he's gonna trade out the gun for karate.
Right, he's gonna give up his gun toting ways and live a life of karate.
Yeah, maybe that's what he'll do. But there you go. He had a loaded pistol right in his pants, and he tried to say that it was his penis.
Yeah, we kind of moved away from the original point of the story, which is that he tried to get out of this by claiming he had a boner to cops. Yeah. And they would have been like, oh, sorry, sir.
So just for clarification, a Glock 23 is 7 inches. So I guess maybe you could.
I mean, maybe you could pass off, except for the fact that it feels like a gun,
yeah,
and not like a penis.
And the Glocks are boxy too. It's not like round. You're like, this is pretty square for.
That's a weird feeling penis. What happened to your balls? It feels like a trigger. Like.
Yeah.
What kind of gun was this?
Glock 23. What did I say? Glock something. Glock. What did I say? Glock 23. Yeah.
A Glock 23.
Glock 23.
There's no way that feels like a penis.
Isolate that. We are live. Someone in the comments, please make a note of that. Isolate that.
I mean, all you gotta do is look up a picture. There's no way you could mistake that for. I mean, it's too boxy. It's also metal. Yeah. There's no give to it. It doesn't feel like flesh.
Yeah, it's not malleable.
No, it's very very boxy, and it's made of metal, and I assume it's made of metal. I don't know. I've never handled a gun before.
All right.
Oh my God. That's just wishful thinking on his part.
Yeah. So there you go. That's the odd news for this week. Is that a pistol in your pants, or are you happy to see me?
He was like, I'm just happy to see you, officer.
Wow! All right. Now it's time for some apocalypse activities. We're going to let you know what you should do this weekend during the COVID. Mike, what do you have?
You're just like breaking over there.
Yeah.
So what I've been doing recently is I am doing the exact opposite. I'm doing the pandemic in the opposite order, basically. Because everybody was baking at the beginning of the pandemic. I'm baking here at the end of the pandemic. I made sourdough bread, Rich.
Oh, just in time for St. Patty's Day.
Sure. I just want to make it because I like bread. Is that a thing they do on St. Patty's Day? They make sourdough bread?
I thought so. I don't know.
Is that soda bread you're thinking
or
of?
Soda bread. Oh, no, I'm wrong. I'm getting to the end of the night. I'm messing everything up.
Isn't Rachel Irish, Rich?
Yeah.
Whoops.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the Italian just kind of puts the blinders on.
The Italian took over. It's okay. I'm the same way sometimes.
Yeah.
But anyway.
What is the bread? You put the bread in the sauce. That's what you do. You don't do any of this other thing.
Okay. Well, there you go. Sourdough bread isn't strictly Italian, but I've been making sourdough bread. It's a lot of fun. I'm looking over there because I have dough rising right now as we're recording this. So I found a recipe that rises for 12 hours overnight. So I've been making these overnight loaves of bread. This is the second loaf of bread I'm making, but it's fun. You know, you get your little sourdough starter. It's really easy. Just flour and water. You whisk it together, and it just grows on its own. People make it out like it's this really complicated, laborious process. It was my very first loaf of bread that I've ever made, and it was delicious. And it went according to plan, just like I expected it to. So I'm really excited that it's working out well, because now I can have bread whenever I want. I love bread. It's one of my favorite foods in the world. I know that sounds weird, but you know, sometimes you just want a good piece of hearty bread, right? So
Okay, so there you go. Mike is.
This was a really weird apocalypse activity, I realized.
Mike is becoming a baker.
I'm becoming a baker. I've been talking about bread nonstop for about 2 days.
It's straight. Mikey the baker. I help your father. I stay with your father.
I stay with your father. I come to help. My parents,
Mike, you better get out of here. There's going to be trouble.
There's going to be trouble. I know, right? The trouble is going to come from my parents, because I have not shut up about baking this stupid bread for 2 days straight. And they're like so frustrated with it, because all I talk about is the sourdough starter and the bread rising and everything. But it's a lot of fun. It's like my new hobby / addiction is baking bread.
All right, there you go.
It's really easy. Don't let the people that tell you it's hard put you off from it. Just give it a shot.
All right, there you go. Mikey's apocalypse activities there.
And what have you got for us, Rich?
I don't know. I'm going to be watching The Witcher and some other TV shows. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I know. I you know what it is? I spent all the time doing research for our previous 6 news stories that I kind of forgot about apocalypse activities. But we did have a lot of news. There was a lot of news to get to this week in sports and entertainment, especially with our TV talk that we wanted to get to. And then, of course, Mr. Pistol in the Pants. He just had to.
Yeah.
We had to have him featured as well in the odd news. But with that, we have hit our hour mark. It is time to start wrapping this up. Thank you guys for tuning in. Saw a couple comments on the Facebook live stream. Thank you guys. However you support us, whether it's on Facebook, on YouTube, or the audio podcast, we still have people that listen on the audio podcast listeners. We haven't forgotten about you guys on iTunes and Stitcher and all that stuff. Thank you guys for supporting us during this crazy COVID year that we've switched our show up to the Crispy Compact Communiqué. If you like what you heard, make sure you visit our website, thecrispynoodle.com. Make sure you do follow all the channels we're on: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, so we can share with you some news and other fun stuff and other broadcasts when we go live and all that fun hoopla that we do.
Yeah. In addition to that hoopla, you can also subscribe to our channel on YouTube, where we have the video version of the podcast. But like Rich mentioned, we're still on audio formats as well. We're on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon devices, pretty much everywhere. So make sure you search for, download, and subscribe to the Crispy Noodle Podcast on any of those podcast services, or on YouTube, or catch the live streams here on Facebook.
Yep. We also have a SoundCloud page as well, where we got the mini noodle promos as well. Check that out if you want a quick laugh.
That's right. You can also find us individually on Twitter to share your sports, entertainment, or odd news stories with us. I'm at Mikey Costanzo, MikeyCostanzo.
And I am at Rich Liebig, RichLiebig. Find us on the Twitters. Let us know what's up. If you got a topic you want us to talk about next week, shoot it our way. And if you do, we'll give you a Crispy Noodle shout out as well. But for right now, whew, man, time went by. I felt like I blinked and the show already ended.
I know.
But hey, that's the fun.
Time flies when you're having fun, right?
That's right. And that's what we do here on the podcast. We hope you had fun as well. This has been the Crispy Compact Communiqué, the new version of the Crispy Noodle podcast. Let us be the Crispy Noodle in your vegetarian salad of life and boring news. Anything else, Mike?
Nope. Everybody have a good rest of your week. Make that sourdough bread.
All right, very well. But for now, that will wrap it up. We'll see you guys next week.
See you guys
later. Bye-bye, all you fine peoples.
Some of us have great stories, pretty stories that take place at lakes with boats and friends and noodle salad. A lot of people, that's their story. Good times, noodle salad.